Alright, in today's video, how to remove odd numbers from a list. So let's just say we had a list and I created one already called test list. And this has values 1 through 7. So how could we remove all the odd numbers from this list such that we were left with a list containing 2, 4, and 6? Keep in mind, this exact solution will work the same way if you want to remove even numbers. The same principles are going to apply. But here in our example, we're going to use odd numbers. And the key to this solution is using the modulus. So this is the modulus operator. And what we're going to do with this is, let's just say we had the number 7. We could do 7 modulus 2. And when we run this, that's going to have a remainder of 1, right? Because 2 goes into 7 3 times, and then there would be a remainder of 1, right? And so if you did 6 here, then there'd be a remainder of 0 because 2 goes into 6 3 times, right? There's 0 remainder. So very basic math. And let's actually just jump over to W3C real quick so you can see kind of the different Python operators. And you can see that Python has many operators, and just kind of confirming for you guys, the one we're going to use here today is called modulus, and it is this %. And so this is basically how you use it. And now I'm going to show you 2 ways to use it in a list comprehension and using filter plus lambda. So let's get into it. So the first way we're going to learn how to remove odd numbers from a list is using what's called a list comprehension. So let's remind ourselves that we have our test list here, which has 7 values, both even and odd. And so what we're going to do is use a list comprehension to filter. And if you're not familiar with list comprehensions or the syntax, I have an entire series on list comprehensions. I think it has almost 20 videos, so you can go check out that playlist. But anyway, so we're going to do x for x in test list if x modulus 2 equals 0. Okay? So what do you think is going to be the output when I run this line? Well, we're going to get our 2, 4, 6. We're going to get all those even numbers. And that is exactly what we were expecting, right? Because we know that 6 modulus 2 equals 0. We know that 4 modulus 2 equals 0. We know that 2 modulus 2 equals 0. And just to experiment here, so 3 modulus 2 will have a remainder of 1. So that's not what we're going to get. We're going to get 2, 4, and 6. Worth noting at this time that if we did this, if we modified this such that we were looking for 1, so we were filtering for values that did result in a remainder of 1, then we would get that opposite list, right? So we would get 1, 3, 5, 7. But of course, the title of this video is removing odd numbers, so we're going to focus on filtering out those odd numbers such that we have our even numbers of 2, 4, and 6. And I guess the last thing I'll mention on the list comprehensions is what you would want to do if you wanted to just kind of put this back to our test list variable, is you would just do test list equals and then set that equal to the list comprehension, right? So our variable is equal to our list comprehension, which contains the old value, the old variable, whatever. So we run this, and we can check test list again, and we can see that test list is now 2, 4, 6. We have reassigned test list based on the outcome of that list comprehension. So hopefully that makes sense. Now let's look at the second way to remove odd numbers in a list. And we're going to use what I call the filter plus lambda method. So we have our original test list here, which I reinitialized with the original 7 values. So how are we going to take this test list and get an output like 2, 4, 6, which we saw in the first example? How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to use the filter built-in function. So if you're not familiar with this function, it takes 2 arguments. The first being a function, and the second being a list. So in our case, the list we're going to use is actually our test list variable. And the function we're going to use is a lambda. So lambda you can think of as like a built-in or a one-line function, or like a one-line function. So we're going to do x colon x modulus 2 equals 0. And if you remember from our first example, we did it basically this exact same way. It's the exact same logic using that modulus operator. So when we run this, we're actually going to get a filter object. And just for the purposes of this demonstration, just to make it more readable, we're going to wrap a list built-in function around it. So we're just going to type list, and that'll give us a list. That'll turn our filter object into a list, and we're going to get our 2, 4, 6 output, exactly what we were expecting. Now, of course, I'll show you the inverse as well, because I showed you it for the list comprehension, which is that if we switch this to being 1, and we ran our list on the 1, then we're going to get that 1, 3, 5, 7. So of course, works the exact same way. They're perfect opposites, you could say. So that is how you want to remove odd numbers from a list using what I call the filter plus lambda method. Alright, so now to summarize what we learned in this video, I really wanted to show you both of the methods side by side. So first, I'll show you the filter lambda, which we saw in our second example. We run that, get our 2, 4, 6. And then next, we'll run our list comprehension, and we can see that once again, our output is 2, 4, 6. So you can see here that we've achieved the exact same outcome, doing it two different ways, and we actually use pretty much the same logic as well, relying heavily on the modulus operator to determine what is even or what is odd. So I hope you've learned a lot in this video. This has been how to remove odd numbers from a list in Python, and thank you for watching.